For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014
2014.
and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but,
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, We are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
Yes. What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
if
you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
I can tell you
You're
again,
running low on soldiers.
Listen,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you
that wasn't with me.
Means.
That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
President. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Caitlin, I do want to, because there were a lot of things that were just not true, aside from just the tone and tenor and the monumental, historic, not in a good way, historic event that we just saw in the Oval Office. Caitlin, it really did seem to devolve when the vice president said to Zelensky, we just want diplomacy. And what Zelensky was trying to do was say, we had that. We had a deal with Russia. We had an agreement, the Minsk agreement, and Russia didn't abide by it. So I want some guarantees that that won't happen again. And then it devolved in a way that is really, really remarkable. The screaming, I mean, you have been with Donald Trump a lot. We have seen and heard about Trump getting upset and losing his temper. I think this is probably the first time we have seen it like this on camera. We all should say, Caitlin, that let's just be clear. I'm not saying that there wasn't genuine anger here, but he understands when the television cameras are there, as does J.D. Vance, and we can't lose sight of the performance aspect of this.
It was incredibly genuine, though. I mean, J.D. Vance said that this shouldn't be litigated in front of the press. Trump said, actually, no, it should be. I'm glad that this is happening. And, you know, the way that this built, just to give context of the 40 minutes that happened before what you just watched, the most remarkable part of this interaction was there were moments where President Zelensky would do what we saw the other European leaders do this week, where they step in to correct either on aid to Ukraine or to talk about Putin and the fact that he can't be trusted. At one point, Zelensky called him a killer and saying that there should be no compromises with him. And the U.S. officials were sitting there just kind of listening to this. And it was at that point, though, where Vice President Vance stepped in. Trump was silent at the beginning of that, and then Trump also got involved. And then they were just essentially yelling at one another in this. And with Trump, all of his diplomacy, we know, is personal. That's why the world leaders who have come here this week have tried to flatter him to essentially get what they want when it comes to negotiating the end of this. And that was not what we just saw, the tack that Zelensky took here. He was, as Zelensky typically is, straightforward in his opinions and what is the reality on the ground. It was kind of chastising Vice President Vance for not having come to Ukraine. And at one point earlier, when Trump was asked if he would go to Ukraine, Zelensky was saying that was what he was going to ask Trump as well. He's been very, he's emphasized a lot that he thinks these U.S. officials need to be there. But to give you a sense of how this negotiation is going, right now they are meeting behind closed doors. They're supposed to come out for a press conference any minute now, and that's where they're signing that minerals agreement that they've been touting as a big first step here. There are real questions about what this looks like going forward, because you heard what President Trump said to me there at the end. I asked, can the two of you still go in a room and negotiate after what just happened? And he said, we'll see, essentially. And Dana, there was one moment where I looked around the room at the officials who were there. It's the top Ukrainian advisors, the Secretary of State to President Trump, the Treasury Secretary, Vice President Vance, obviously. The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States had her head buried in her hands as this shouting match was going on between the three of them.
Yes, I saw you put that on social media. It is one of the many. There you go. We're putting it up on the screen now. That is the Ukrainian ambassador, as you said, and she, I mean, talk about her worst nightmare. She was literally watching it unfold before her eyes in the Oval Office.